Crunchyroll, I think your PR department needs help. I've been pretty clear in the past that I really don't want to make my entire YouTube channel nothing but negative news reporting and bashing on certain things, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Crunchyroll wants me to do that. It seems like every single week there's a new news bit that comes out that Crunchyroll does something that makes everybody either angry or concerned. And yes, this is not new news. This is actually something that happened like about a week ago, a little bit over a week ago. But I was waiting for some more information to come around it. There's some things that I wanted some clarification around before I spoke out, but it unfortunately doesn't look like that clarification is coming out. But yes, that news is that the French dub voice actress for Classroom of the Elite, Kikyo, has been fired, unfortunately. I apologize beforehand because I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Anna Lauzeray Gishi, which I'm going to call Anna from now on. Again, I apologize if I've butchered that name. But yes, she's been fired from the role as Kikyo in Classroom of the Elite in the French dub. Now, the only information that we have surrounding why this happened is from Anna herself. She tweeted out saying that she got a call from Crunchyroll. She's able to state the following, which was allowed to her by Crunchyroll to state. This is a translate using Google Translate, so hopefully the context is still here. It seems pretty coherent. But her first tweet says that after a call from Crunchyroll, she was allowed to state that she will no longer play as Kikyo from Classroom Elite. In the following tweet, she stated that the reason was because of a fan dub that she did of Chainsaw Man. She stated that she was looking for an amicable solution, like, could we just possibly just take down the fan dub and that would be it? But no, unfortunately, she just got fired. Following this, she goes on to talk about how this is kind of shocking to her because obviously for many voice actors and voice actresses, fan dubs is kind of a way of getting into the industry. It's kind of a way to kind of hone your craft and to get better at what you do. And yes, to get your name out there, which honestly, a lot of people have echoed at this point, that if you look across the entire spectrum of voice actors and voice actresses, a lot of them got their popularity by doing fan dubs. And yes, let's not forget, Crunchyroll themselves made them what they are by using fan subs and fan dubs on their website. So, of course, that is a big point that a lot of people are making that is kind of hypocritical. Anna goes on to say that she really does hope this is an isolated case, that because so many find their work in anime through doing fan dubs, that others will not have this sort of thing happen to them. And additionally, she does point out that she really does hope that everybody, accepts the replacement that will be taking over Kikyo's role and not to harass them, because obviously it's not their fault that this whole thing happened. They just want a job as well, and I'm sure they'll do a great job. So, my thoughts on this whole situation. I'm going to look at things from both sides, like I typically do. Some people actually hate that I look at things positively and negatively. Most people just want to rant on about the negative aspects, but let's first start off by looking at why this happened from a business standpoint. It is sad to say, but yes, this is something that could be in her contract. She didn't state specifically that that was the case, but yes, more than likely that was in her contract. That if she was taking on roles with Crunchyroll, that she was not to do anything that could inadvertently affect their business. In a lot of contracts, they will include a section that essentially, if you do anything that can inadvertently affect the business itself, you can be terminated. The idea is that if somebody gets on a role or is some sort of face to a company, and then they do something that's inappropriate, that obviously can damage the property itself. If I become some sort of role or face within a brand, and then I do something inappropriate, illegal, or something that could possibly damage the property, they don't want to be stuck with having me in that role, because then my actions can damage the property and make people look negatively upon that property and thus damage its sales. And this is where it's going to get really, in my assumption, and this is why I was kind of holding off talking about this, what my assumption happened is that with the popularity of Chainsaw Man coming out, and obviously it's going to be Crunchyroll's biggest property in October, there is going to be nothing, absolutely nothing, that will rival the popularity of Chainsaw Man, without a doubt. You can say Bleach, but unfortunately we're questioning where Bleach is going to end up being at this point. But what I'm figuring right now is that Crunchyroll sees that even with Bleach on the platform of Crunchyroll, I believe that Chainsaw Man will be their pinnacle property. That's going to be the one that's going to probably get the most views. It's what's going to get the most subs, and that's what people are going to be watching in October. So anything that could possibly harm that property, and anything that the property's owner says, is probably going to immediately have Crunchyroll moving. And so what I believe happened, and you can kind of see this on Anna's Twitter feed, is that the original property owners of Chainsaw Man, the animation, was going around the internet, Twitter, YouTube, and just throwing copyright strikes and claims upon anybody that had that trailer. They want to have it for themselves, and anybody touch that trailer, they're going to take them down. Unfortunately, a lot of people that deal with copyright in Japan don't really understand the internet. And so from their viewpoint, anybody that has their trailer is trying to steal their property, and they have to attack. And so yes, on Anna's Twitter feed, you can see where that video was taken down. There was a copyright claim on it. And now I don't know if directly from the owners in Japan, they seen that she was also voicing a role in Crunchyroll's products, that they told Crunchyroll to stop, or that Crunchyroll themselves seen that she was a part of something that they themselves flagged and took down. But either way, word got back to Crunchyroll that she was voicing in something that was not authorized by them, and so they shot it down really quickly. And unfortunately, in my opinion, made an example of her. And this really sucks because Anna's done a lot of stuff in anime in the French dubs. She was Iris from Fire Force. She's still technically Chizuru in Rent a Girlfriend. I don't know if they're still going to have her as the voice of Chizuru going forward. I believe she's still in that role. And the question mark at this point is I'm wondering if this is going to be across the board. Is she no longer going to work with Crunchyroll? I'm going to assume so. I mean, the only thing that would make me believe that she's not going to be completely banned from Crunchyroll dubs is because, again, she's still technically playing as Chizuru. There's a possibility that Classroom of the Elite has some sort of connection to the property of Chainsaw Man. Maybe it's the same owners or something like that. I couldn't really find a direct connection between the two of them, but that's possibly the case there. Now, yes, a lot of people will say it's fair use. Fan dubbing's fair use. There's no way that this should be allowed. Well, unfortunately, Japan does not recognize fair use, and I have found that out way too often when it comes to making YouTube videos. They just don't. Every time I've ever tried to use some sort of footage, just screenshots in my videos, and in a lot of cases I get claims directly from Japan. It's always from Japan. They don't recognize it. And unfortunately, YouTube, as I've mentioned several times before, does not give me any way of locking my videos from Japan, where they don't recognize fair use. Where here, we recognize fair use. So what could have easily happened is that they put this fan dub onto YouTube, that went straight to Japan, bam, they claimed it, and yes, something came back to Crunchyroll or directly from Crunchyroll where they slapped her on the wrist for it. Which honestly, I have to say thank you, Anna, and everybody that worked on that fan dub, because that right there proved to me, I'm going to be very careful if I put anything Chainsaw Man in my videos, because it looks like whoever owns that property is ruling over this stuff like Toei. So anybody out there, if you do anything with Chainsaw Man, just remember Toei. Because it really feels like this is the same sort of people working behind the scenes to really crack down on anybody that has anything Chainsaw Man in their stuff. Now that I've kind of explained why I believe this happened, even though I don't agree with it entirely, let me get to the other side, which again, like I mentioned at the very beginning, Crunchyroll, please do something with your marketing team, because obviously somebody doesn't understand how to handle situations like this. And this has been going on for the last, I don't know, year now. We keep seeing cases where you guys do something that doesn't look good to your brand. Firing somebody over a fan dub is just silly. And if it is all for the sake of trying to protect your one brand, it doesn't look good. And it's sad that we're now seeing a lot of people, a lot of actresses and actors coming out and saying at this point, don't do fan dubs anymore. Telling people don't do fan dubs. And if you do fan dubs, essentially clear your history. Like, if you get to the point where you finally make it off and you finally get your first role, delete everything you did before, because anything can be used against you. And I think that's just really terrible. That's almost like somebody finally taking off as an artist and they have to go back and delete all their files so that nobody sees that one time they drew Pikachu. It's ridiculous. Everybody has to hone their craft. Everybody mimics other characters. Everybody has that point in which they try to, I don't know, I've had times where my whole thing when I was growing up is I did a great Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. And now I'm afraid that if I take off on YouTube, am I suddenly going to have to make sure I don't have any recordings of me voicing as Arnold Schwarzenegger? Well, the possibility that AMC hires me as a host, I suddenly have to delete all of my YouTube videos because one time I voiced a character or I imitated somebody? It's ridiculous. Now, I will say, it's kind of foolish of Anna to do that while she was voicing roles. In a lot of cases with a lot of actors and actresses, what they'll do is they stop. Like the moment you start getting the roles, you stop doing the fan stuff. Because again, I think the only reason that they got her on this is because she was doing it while she was under a contract. But it still looks terrible. And what's sad is that Crunchyroll could probably save face quite a bit if they just said why from their perspective. it obviously seems, according to Anna, that she was allowed to at least say why, which was because of the Chainsaw Man Fandub. But when Anime News Network asked them, what does Crunchyroll say? We can't comment on the reason for her departure, but wish her the best for her career. If you let her say why not say she breached a contract? That way at least looks like she broke a contract, like she did it. Again, I just don't understand what Crunchyroll's perspective is here and why they can't just do things in a way that doesn't make them look terrible. Help us like you. Help us like you. You know what the worst thing about the whole situation is? This is at a time when you have a lot of people banding together against your company about how much voice actors and actresses get paid. Again, I understand the idea of breaching contracts, and I do think it was a bad move for her to do it when she was under a contract, but still, I mean, she says it best herself. Could I just have taken down the Fandub and let's just move on with our lives? Does the owners of Chainsaw Man have that much control over you that you'll be willing to ruin your relationship with your fans that easily? It really shows the priorities of companies sometimes, but it's my thoughts on this whole situation. I hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, I wish Anna the best, and it just goes to show you, be very careful about what you do anymore. Because these companies don't care that much about their fans and their employees and their contractors enough. But anyway, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what's about this whole situation. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.